the programme I saw focused on was it removes all the fast trains off the local lines, and at the moment, if you imagine, when there's a fast train due, loads and loads of small trains have to clear the line, keep it clear.
Right.
So by removing the HS2 traffic onto a completely separate line, you are really enhancing all the local structure.
Well, we are, but again, for the benefit of London, we're just going up and down the country. We're not going across.
Yeah, but you're a national company, Nick. It's not just about London, but you are releasing all that.
No, you're not. Respectfully, you're not listening. I get it.
Oh.
I get it from to London. But what I'm talking about, what about trying to get from Leeds to Manchester, or across the country, Liverpool to Newcastle? That's what I'm saying. That's not going to help them at all. It does nothing for the North. Well, okay, so we're very lucky. Where do you live? Well, Bristol. So you've got to come up from Temple Meads, and then you get to London, and boom, we can power you up to Manchester even more rapidly than we did before. But it's not helping you if you want to live in the north and you want to get from Manchester to Liverpool. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what it's not the whole solution. It's not the whole solution, but it is releasing a lot of track in lots of different small towns for more local trains.
£100 billion. Do you think we're getting value for money?
Yeah, but as the previous guy said, 2 points on that. First of all, we spent a lot of it already, so by stopping it, you're going to waste all that money that's already been invested in it. And the second thing is, it's creating jobs. People, take their salaries from all of this, including the bungs for the sound of it, and then go and spend it. Don't they?
Grateful for your argument, thank you. You're absolutely right. It will. Many people say it should never have been called HS2 because it was sold to the public in the wrong way, and of course the media. In fairness, we're going to call it HS2 because the government called it HS2. Thank you for your input. We're looking at other stories. Listen, what do you make of the man who's in charge of counter-terror in this country, who's now will, quote, make no apologies for wearing a vest that intends to simulate one of the symptoms of the menopause? It's known as a Meno vest. I speak of Matt Jukes, who is now the Met's anti-terror chief. He's also the force's he-for-she gender equality lead. Shouldn't we be cracking down on crime for everybody? Male, female, trans, whatever you might be. Isn't the job of the police actually to nick the burglars and the thieves and the robbers and everyone else, not to go around wearing a vest? Seriously. Carolyn Harris is a Labour MP. She chairs the Menopause all-party parliamentary group.
Absolutely delighted that Matt Jukes tried the vest on. Every single man who has tried the vest on in my presence, so they've all felt just how debilitating a flush can be.
Bring it round here, I'll wear it. And from one Matt to a second, this one's down in the jungle.
Do you know what it is, actually? What I'm really looking for is a bit of forgiveness. That's what I'm really looking for. We all make mistakes. I made a pretty big one.
Well, nothing says forgiveness like eating a kangaroo's penis, does it? Whenever I'm seeking forgiveness, I know that's what I do. 8:46 LBC News headlines. Simon Conway.
Britain will pay millions of pounds more every year under a new deal signed with France on the small boats crisis in the Channel. 22 people have been arrested over an explosion in Istanbul which killed 6 people. And around 1,600 jobs are under threat at the fashion retailer Joules, which is set to go into administration. LBC weather, patchy rain in the west, misty low cloud and sunny spells elsewhere, a high of 15 degrees.
LBC Travel, I'm Anne-Marie Walsh. There are delays on the M25 anti-clockwise. It's queuing for half an hour towards an accident before junction 23 for South Mims. On the A12 southbound, there are delays towards a broken down lorry at the Little Heath traffic lights. And on the North Circular eastbound, it's slow moving for 2 miles from the Harrow Road underpass towards an Easton interchange. That's because of the roadworks there. In central London, Regent Street has blocked northbound at Cavendish Place to recover a broken down van. The Woolwich Ferry is not operating because of the foggy weather conditions. And on the tubes, there are minor delays on the Central line from Leytonstone to Epping and Woodford, and from White City to West Ruislip and Ealing Broadway.
This is LBC.
No one knows what your future might hold. A new house, new car,
Whatever it might be, your credit score is going to matter. A Vanquis credit card is designed to help you improve it. In fact, it's the #1 reason people get one. So go to vanquis.co.uk today to check if you're eligible risk-free and join the thousands of customers we accept every week. Walk tall with Vanquis. To build your credit score, stay within your credit limit and make minimum payments on time. Over 18s only. T&Cs apply. Representative 29.5% APR variable.
Call Nick Ferrari now. 0345 6060 973 LBC.
The new Elizabeth line just got even better. With faster direct journeys 7 days a week, from Ilford to Tottenham Court Road in just 24 minutes. And now Bond Street Station is open on the Elizabeth line, connecting more people and places than ever before. The new Elizabeth line, bringing more of London together. To the Mayor of London and TfL, every journey matters. Faster than previous Elizabeth line journeys based on average off-peak journey times.
At Tesco Mobile this Christmas, you can get the incredible iPhone 13 with AirPods Pro. This magical duo includes 5G for high-quality streaming to watch all your favourite Christmas movies for just £36.99 a month with club card prices, saving you £270. This is Supermarket Mobile. Search Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
Ends 28th of December. Was 44.49. Club card and 36-month credit agreement required. Subject to status and availability. 5G subject to coverage. Terms at tescomobile.com/terms.
Jen said, it can't be done. Dad said, sounds a bit niche. The agency said, website's live. My CEO pal said, like it, we'll share. My brother said, what if something goes wrong? The insurance website said, your business is fully covered. Investor Tom said, expansion plans look good. The bank said, loans approved. The insurer said, it's more complex now, but nothing we can't sort out. I said, and they said, it couldn't be done. Insurance for businesses that know their own mind. Superscript. Customised, effortless, fair.
Now that the holiday season is over, many timeshare owners are facing a winter of expensive upkeep. With rising inflation, now more than ever, we need to look after our money. If you own a timeshare in Spain or the Canaries and bought it after 5th of January 1999, you may have been missold. mytimeshareclaim.co.uk could help you exit your contract and receive substantial compensation. To find out more, text ASSIST to 78900. That's ASSIST to 78900 today.
Protect your devices with one of the UK's most trusted digital security. Rated excellent on Trustpilot. ESET.com. Progress protected.
Get some sunshine when it's gone with Punchy. Delicious and natural low-calorie soft drinks with 50% of your daily vitamin D from Amazon, Ocado or punchydrinks.com.
Britain, there's a joy shortage. So we at Tesco have formed the Christmas Party to help. We promise 3 for 2 on party food for all members of the house. We stand for joy. We are the Christmas Party. Brought to you by Tesco. Chilled party food only, cheapest item free. Majority of larger stores, club card or app required. Ends 2nd of January.
The greatest asset of any business? People. Because with the right people in the right seats, brilliant things happen. Total Jobs make it easy to find the right people for your business. So, find your people with Total Jobs. A team you can trust. Start growing your team today at totaljobs.com.
Nick Ferrari at breakfast. Call 0345 6060 973.
More of your calls on HS2 in a moment. Now, the front page of one of your newspapers yesterday, many of you will have seen it, others will not, so let me fill you in. It was the Mail on Sunday. Albanian demonstrators caused outrage yesterday by clambering over Sir Winston Churchill's statue in central London and cloaking it in their national flag. More than 1,500 protesters gathered in the capital to demand the government respect their human rights after Suella Braverman said that Britain was facing an invasion of illegal migrants. But when they reached Parliament Square, a group peeled off towards the statue of the Britain wartime leader, and in an act politicians said was calculated to cause insult and fury. The Albanians filmed themselves standing on the monument. Armed Forces veterans preparing for the Remembrance Sunday yesterday looked on in disgust. Later, demonstrators' path to Downing Street was cordoned off by police who were booed and jeered. Let's see, Dr. Rakib Ersan is a political commentator. How would you describe the actions of these demonstrators? Was it disrespectful?
Well, Nick, we've seen some people defend the actions by saying that Albania in the Second World War fought against fascist Italy and Nazi Germany. But I do feel that by draping Sir Winston Churchill's statue in Parliament Square with a flag which isn't the Union flag, I think that there are some people who understandably would find that to be a disrespectful course of action.
Although many would argue, of course, Winston Churchill led Britain in the Second World War. That is the freedom, of course, that he and the many, many men and women who fought in the war, to allow the freedom to protest in the fashion that these men, and I'm sure some women, did.
Absolutely, Nick. I think that was one of the main... one of the best things to come out of that was the preservation of our freedom and security. I don't think anyone is suggesting that the actions that we saw should be banned, but I think that those who are criticising those actions, they have legitimate grounds to do so.
How would you characterise the behaviour of the United Kingdom towards people from Albania trying to settle in this country?
I think that we have to break it down, Nick, if truth be told. I think that we have a very serious problem when it comes to illegal immigration, and the recent Home Office figures suggest that much of the illegal channel crossings involve those who are of Albanian origin, and I think that demonstrates we do have a dysfunctional asylum system. But I do think the government needs to be careful, because we do have British Albanians who are perfectly law-abiding. They contribute to our social, economic and cultural spheres of life. But saying that, we do have to recognise the problem that we have at our borders, and the fact that we have to clamp down on people smuggling infrastructures which do involve people of Albanian origin.
Does Suella Braverman need to mind her language in some of the things she said on this?
Well, I think that the use of the term invasion, for example, to describe the migration situation on the south coast, I think that was polarising language, if truth be told, Nick. It's not language that I personally would have used. I think that you can say that we very much have a border security crisis without using that kind of language. But ultimately, Nick, the Conservative Party need to narrow the gap between the rhetoric and the reality. And it's time that they deliver in terms of policy when it comes to securing our national borders, especially on the south coast.
Dr. Rakib Ersan, thank you. You're a political commentator. Calls coming in on this. Of course, also in another conversation we started, which is it would appear Jeremy Corbyn, there's no way back into the Labour Party, or that's at least what senior Labour sources are suggesting. So would he possibly consider the year after next running to be the Mayor of London? It has already been reported that Sadiq Khan would run again. Mr. Corbyn would obviously run as an independent. Carol in Stanmore. Carol, you're on the radio. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you for taking my call.
Would you vote for him?
Would I ever? I'd run a million miles from him. What I believe is it's a double-edged sword. If we are to rid ourselves of the curse of Corbyn, maybe we could convince this deluded despot that people don't really want him, and maybe by allowing him or accepting that he has a right to put himself forward as an independent for the Mayor of London, if he were to not secure a high vote, it might just get through to him that people don't want him. He is, in my opinion, a clear anti-Semite, as was a previous independent Mayor of London. Again, my opinion. Both these gentlemen deny it.
Well, Mr. Corbyn enjoys, it would appear, tremendous support in his constituency if you go by his majority.
Yes, I accept that, but I think that standing again and now knowing the history surrounding the man, that I would hope, I know it's a double-edged sword, I suggest that it's also risky, but it just might get through to him and rid us, as I say, of what we call the curse of Corbyn. I am reluctant to give him a platform anywhere.
Carol, strong views. Let's see what others make of Jeremy Corbyn, but it's calls about that Albanian protests that are coming in now. Arben is in Dagenham. Arben, what can you tell me? Was it disrespectful? Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. It's a pleasure to talk to you. I've been listening to you for so long. Nick, you know, what is disrespectful? I think personally to be disrespectful is to urinate or to use graffiti on Winston Churchill, as some English have done in the past. What the Albanians did, they wrapped him with a national flag, which is the most important thing for them, and it shows respect. It shows respect to Winston Churchill because, Britain helped Albania to liberate itself from the Nazis. It helped Albania and the Albanian nations and Kosovo during the war in Kosovo, and you've been helping us ever since, and we are one of the most trusted allies of United Kingdom and America in NATO and so on and so forth.
You're telling me you think the people who did this were trying to show respect to Winston Churchill by putting a flag?
Of course. When someone dies, it's a cultural thing as well, but when someone dies and you put the flag above his coffin, it shows respect. It doesn't show disrespect. And I wonder why the British are so dragged by this rhetoric of Nigel Farage. I understand why he does that, but where is the disrespect? It would have been totally different if the Albanians would have thrown stones or tomatoes or urinated, do anything, or graffiti, or write something down with. But not that. That shows just the opposite.
Well, let's see what Arben. Thank you, and thank you for that. So, and you are obviously Albanian. You're saying that this is a way of showing respect, and others might disagree. But Arben, thank you. Judy in Colchester. Judy, you're on the radio. Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. The disrespect comes from the fact of the occasion
why
that it was.
Why is it disrespectful? We just said it's respectful. It is like draping a coffin on someone's. A flag on someone's coffin.
It was a distraction from the occasion, that very solemn occasion when our military and other people involved in the military march. It's that one day in the year that is solemn. Yeah. You've got all those brave men and women. There's groups of men and women that I'd not even heard of till yesterday that have had to be formed to support our military when they're injured. You had the
So is it that had they done it, say, this coming Sunday or 2 Sundays ago, you wouldn't have felt so annoyed by it? Is that right?
No, I don't. It was disrespectful for the people, for the elderly, and on all our old veterans.
Yeah, no, the military veterans I know, and all the other people, current military personnel, and indeed politicians and others who attend that service at the Cenotaph. I hear what you say, Judy. Thank you. That's interesting. 2 views on that. We might return to that, but we are going on to other stories. One I've mentioned already. The police officer in charge of counter-terror for the whole country, deciding to wear a Menopause vest to work out what the symptoms of menopause was like. Former Chief Constable of Greater Manchester Police, Sir Peter Fahey.
You have to do those things as a police chief, and part of leadership is absolutely showing to your staff that you understand the issues that are facing them day to day, and sometimes absolutely going in for gestures, and I did some of that.
We'll see how wise that was. Plus the schools minister, who is bemoaning the fact that so few students are studying German. Is it a subject that you ever thought you'd want to learn? And in a strange way, is Matt Hancock achieving some kind of redemption down under as he's in the celebrity jungle?
On your radio, on Global Player, and
Play LBC.
Leading Britain's conversation. This is LBC.
From Global's newsroom at 9 o'clock, Britain will pay millions of pounds more every year under a new deal with France to tackle the small boats crisis. It will see an increase in the number of patrols at beaches in France, and for the first time, British officials will be based in French control rooms to strengthen coordination. More than 40,000 people have made the dangerous journey across the Channel so far this year. The Home Secretary, Suella Braverman, signed the deal in Paris this morning.
There's no single answer, there's no quick fix, there's no silver bullet. Our cooperation and collaboration with the French on the UK coastline, on the French coastline, is absolutely integral to ensuring that there is a robust barrier preventing people disembarking from the French beaches in the first place.
22 people have been arrested by Turkish police investigating a bomb attack in Istanbul. Yesterday's explosion on a busy shopping street killed 6 people and injured more than 80 others. Officials have blamed Kurdish militants. The fashion retailer Joules has announced it plans to appoint administrators. Around 1,600 jobs are now under threat. Business commentator Declan Curry says the company has failed to secure a vital cash injection.
It warned back in August that sales have been hit hard by rising costs and inflation, and by warmer than expected weather. Talks to arrange a rescue plan or extra funding from investors, including its founder Tom Joule, ended in failure. Its bigger high street rival Next walked away from plans to buy the business in September.
Rishi Sunak is arriving in Bali for his first G20 summit. The Prime Minister says he will call on fellow world leaders to fix the weaknesses in the global economic system. He's also promised to call out Vladimir Putin's regime during the gathering. Figures suggest the average asking price on a UK home fell by more than £4,000 in November compared with the previous month. Rightmove says that puts the typical price at £370,000. The website says the sudden jump in mortgage rates after the mini-budget accelerated a slowdown. Small businesses are said to be struggling to get loans from high street banks to help them grow. More than half those surveyed believe lenders are too slow in assessing applications, and some feel the banks are reluctant to lend to smaller firms. In the city a short time ago, the FTSE 100 was trading up 27 points at 73.45, and the pound buys $1.18 and €1.14. LBC weather, patchy rain for some western areas, misty low cloud and sunny spells elsewhere, a high of 15 degrees. From Global's newsroom for LBC, I'm Simon Conway.
At Tesco Mobile this Christmas, you can get the incredible iPhone 13 with AirPods Pro. This magical duo includes 5G for high-quality streaming to watch all your favourite Christmas movies for just $36.99 a month with club card prices, saving you £270. This is Supermarket Mobile. Search Tesco Mobile. Every little helps.
Ends 28th of December. Was $44.49. Club card and 36-month credit agreement required. Subject to status and availability. 5G subject to coverage. Terms at tescomobile.com/terms.
This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Nick Ferrari at breakfast.
Morning, 4 minutes after 9 on Monday, November the 14th. Coming up in this hour, the counter-terror chief police officer ridiculed for wearing a menopause or meno vest says he has absolutely no excuses. Was he right to do that? Was it smart or nothing more than a stunt? Certainly a stunt in the jungle for Matt Hancock, but is he actually receiving some kind of gaining the redemption he clearly so desperately craves, in as much as he has been voted leader? Well, at least of the team in the jungle. Plus, we'll also come to the story from the schools minister who says, "Ach, du liebe Zeit, wir müssen alles Deutsch sprechen." That's the schools minister who says, "Oh my goodness, we should all be learning German."
Nick Ferrari at breakfast. Call 0345 6060 973. Text 84850. Nick Ferrari at breakfast on LBC.
For obvious reasons, I don't know what it's like to have the menopause. And there's no way I'll ever know what it's like to endure the menopause. And I have absolutely no doubt it is challenging. So when you hear me question what this police officer's done, before you all start screaming, I'm not questioning that there are challenges with the menopause. I absolutely get it. I'm not questioning there needs to be conversations about the menopause. They absolutely do. But what is achieved by a fairly senior police officer wearing this meno vest, as it's called, for just part of one meeting? If you are a woman who is in the menopause, who is perimenopausal, you see, who is postmenopause, do you honestly think this bloke will get it by wearing it for, I don't know, half an hour, whatever it might have been? This is just posing. This isn't smart. This is nothing more than a stunt. I speak of Matt Jukes, who's now the Met Police's anti-terror chief. So that's for the whole of the country. He was Chief Constable down in South Wales. He's also the force's new he for she, all one word, he for she gender equality lead. Is it just me? We're talking about a force that's in special measures that's failing. Of course these things need to be, engaged with. But wouldn't it be great to hear that we're starting a new anti-burglary squad? Or that we're nicking more people, or that there's a new initiative regarding knife crime, instead of which he's wearing what are you up to today, Super? I was going to wear a Gov. Why are you going to? I just want to empathise with women. Right, have you nicked those people? No, I've got my menopause vest on. He wore the vest. This apparently contains pads that heat up. At a meeting in October, he wanted to mark Menopause Awareness Month. But now, according to some sources, it's been dismissed as a woke stunt. Mr. Jukes, or was the Assistant Commissioner, isn't he? Jukes' experience was documented on the Metropolitan Police's intranet. The Assistant Commissioner described it as, quote, uncomfortable and at times distracting, close quotes, causing him to lose his train of thought during a meeting. So now, the man in charge of anti-terror has sat in a meeting where he's unnecessarily lost his chain of thought, or train of thought. How much sense does that make to you? Am I the only person who thinks this is absolutely nuts? If he wants to do it, wear all night at home. All right? Go back to your wife or your partner, or I don't know, your husband, I've no idea, and I don't care what it is. Go back to whoever it is in your life and wear your vest all day long, all night long, and then come in and tell us what it was like. Don't wear it in a meeting when you're the anti-terror chief. This is absurd. I can explain to colleagues at the end of the meeting, I told them what it was like and why. I wonder what they thought. As well as having this experience, which has given me heightened awareness, I'm redoubling my focus to normalise our conversations about the menopause at work. I remind you, this man is in charge of counter-terror. He's not in charge of the very, very valid cause of menopause awareness. Carolyn Harris is the Labour MP who chairs the UK Menopause Task Force. She spoke with one of my colleagues here at LBC over the weekend to give her verdict of his decision.
Well, I'm absolutely delighted that Matt Hughes tried the vest on. Every single man who has tried the vest on in my presence, and there have been quite a few, from senior politicians to local PCSOs, they've all felt just how debilitating a flush can be, and it is only a very small part of what the menopause is. With 51% of the population, how can it be possibly woke when somebody is at least trying to understand what that 51% of the population are experiencing every day? We know that so many women in all walks of life are giving up work, reducing hours, not going for promotion because they don't feel adequate. On the other side of the coin, there are so many women who will become involved in the criminal justice system because of the menopause. To suggest that the police are being patronising is beyond ridiculous.
Well, here we are. Stunt or smart? Dr. Anne Henderson is a consultant gynaecologist and British Menopause Society accredited specialist. Practices at the Armada Clinic in Tunbridge Wells in Kent and joins me now. Had this police officer sought your advice prior to it, what might you have told him? Good morning.
Good morning, Nick. It's a fascinating subject, and as a menopause specialist, I'm always delighted to hear coverage, whether it's good or bad. I think, any coverage heightens awareness. Interestingly, I spoke at length to Stephen Armstrong, who was the journalist who
He's got a big, what's called a colour piece in today's Daily Mail, which is like a big feature, as I should say. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
His original piece came out several months ago, and I actually had a pretty long chat with him during the week that he was wearing the vest, and he gave it a proper trial because he wore it 24/7, followed the instructions about increased fluid intake and so on. And I think his argument that if you're really going to give it a proper trial, you can't dip in and out just for an hour or two, I think is probably quite good advice.
Oh, so this was a stunt, Doctor? Look, we're having the conversation, which is a good thing. Should more conversations be had? Absolutely. Has this man actually learned what it's like to be a menopausal woman by wearing a vest for 45 minutes or whatever? Well, he can't have done, can he?
I think he's learned about a certain element, which
was it all just down to hot flushes, Doctor? No.
The fact that they are associated with brain fog, which I believe he said affected his concentration and focus during the meeting. Now, if he takes away from that experience that is something that his perimenopausal and menopausal female colleagues may experience, then I would argue it's very valid. And that might be more valid than perhaps just having a hot flush when he was in the canteen or overnight when he's asleep, when he can actually see it impacting on his ability to do his job. Then I think that is relevant.
He's in charge of counter-terror. Do you honestly want, I'm going to use this word as part of a stunt, the man in charge of counter-terror to perhaps make a foggy-minded decision? Seriously?
Well, perhaps that's why he only had it on for 45 minutes.
Okay,
took it off and said, right, enough is enough.
Wear it in your own time, I say again. Wear it when you're making decisions that could influence the safety of you and your loved ones and my listeners' loved ones. I just don't wear it at home. Wear it in the car on the way to work or the bus or the tube. Don't wear it when you're taking crucial decisions, surely.
Well, can I say in defence of the police that I have worked with them for many years, dating back to 2015. I've organised countless seminars and webinars for police forces all over the country, and they have led the way with menopause awareness. They have a national menopause awareness group, and I would really hate it if this one episode detracted from the amazing work the police have done.
Well, we are on the same page there, that we want amazing work, that we want awareness, that women and perimenopausal women need this support. I just wonder about the validity of this particular exercise. I'm grateful as ever. Dr. Anne Henderson is a consultant gynaecologist, British Menopause Society accredited specialist working at the Amara Clinic in Tunbridge Wells. Listening, Katie Bourne, who's Conservative Police and Crime Commissioner for Sussex, joins me now. This was sound and smart or nothing but a stunt? Commissioner.
Good morning, Nick.
British immigration officials being based over in France in control rooms for the first time, so they can see firsthand what exactly the French authorities are doing on the ground to try to stop boats launching. They can suggest ideas, they can better share intelligence. There's also going to be an investment in reception centres, so when people are stopped on the French side of the channel before making the crossing, people could be taken to these centres and be told they could actually claim asylum in France or be offered the chance to return to their home country rather than trying to get to the UK. So those are some of the new ideas. I think it's really being seen as a continuation of the existing deal that we have with France rather than anything particularly radical. But I think the British government will certainly be hoping the uplift in police numbers will make a difference, because at the moment the French police are stopping about 42% of crossings according to the data, but the authorities really feel that needs to be up something like 70 or 80% before it really starts to affect the business model of the people smugglers organising the crossings.
Now, you mentioned British immigration officials based in France. I know a lot of people have been calling for that, but what does it exactly mean? What will they be doing?
Well, I think in reality they'll be in the control centres, so they'll be able to see what exactly is taking place, what the French authorities are doing, how they're using the surveillance equipment. What I don't think we're going to see, which the British government have been pushing for, is large numbers of British Border Force officer boots on French beaches trying to stop the crossings themselves. I think that was too much regarding French sovereignty for them to agree to that. But it's certainly been seen as a way to share more intelligence. But I think it's also worth pointing out, while we're talking about this new deal and Britain saying it's taking cooperation with France to the next level, what isn't in this agreement? So there's no talk of any returns agreement, which certainly the UK would like. The idea that if someone has passed through a safe EU country before making the crossing, they could be returned to that country. There's no talk of that. There's no talk of trying to turn boats back at sea, to stop the boats once they're actually in the water. So I think those kind of radical ideas are not in this agreement, but Britain making it very clear that this is just one of a number of measures that they're taking to try to stop crossings. This deal is not going to bring them to an end overnight. It's not going to bring them to an end on its own. They talk about the Nationality and Borders Bill and new penalties and measures introduced in that. There's also talk from the government today of really trying to clear the asylum backlog, to really see through claims more quickly and remove people who don't have the right to be here, to ease pressure on the asylum system on places like Manston. So the government's saying this is not a silver bullet, but it is progress in trying to stop these crossings.
That was then our reporter Simon Jones with the latest from Dover. We'll bring you, of course, all the information on this, our top story, throughout the morning here on BBC Radio Kent, where it's a very special edition of the Wake Up Call. I've never done this before, but I'm on the move. I'm walking and talking as part of Pudsy's peer-to-peer challenge, and we've left the pier in Gravesend. We're just now actually going past the Civic Centre. You can hear the traffic on the road as we walk in a big, long group. Lots of people wearing Pudsey ears and T-shirts. So again, if you're in the area, please do come and say hello, and crucially put a few shiny pennies, or even better, a crisp note into the buckets that we have with us, because we're obviously collecting for a fantastic cause. We've been hearing throughout the morning about some of the charities that stand to benefit from the money that we can make over the course of the next week, leading up to the official BBC Children in Need Day, which is on Friday. You can also donate online, so don't worry about that. Just go to bbc.co.uk/walk-and-talk for the latest on that one. And let's see how far we can get today. We've got lots of miles ahead of us, and you can follow our progress step by step. Now, on the way, we'll talk more about the economy ahead of the Chancellor's statement on Thursday. There are a few spoilers, but first of all, let's enjoy this. It's Lewis Capaldi and Forget Me.
Days aching, nights are long.
Tell me about your experiences then. Have you been on one?
Quite a few times. I used to use them quite regularly to nip to the shop or go and see my friends and things like that. But I had bad experience with one and now don't use them.
Ah, well, I'm sorry to hear that you haven't had a good experience. What happened then?
So I was coming round the corner and the scooter spun out from underneath me. And I had quite a nasty accident and have damaged my right knee quite badly. And that was towards the end of October. And I'm still in a knee brace, and I'm still having to go to the hospital regularly for appointments and scans and different various painkillers to try and help me.
And that's put you off going on them again, has it?
Yes, definitely. It was quite scary. I don't remember the whole accident. I remember coming around the corner and then I remember being on the floor screaming. So I don't think I'll be going on one again.
Gosh, and how often? You said you use them quite a bit up to that point. So why did you sort of want to use them initially? Did you find them quite practical to get from A to B in the beginning?
So I don't drive. And I used to use them to go to and from work, which is only around the corner, but at night it's a lot quicker to use an e-scooter than to try and walk through alleyways. So I used to use it for that, and then it's things like nipping to the shop or going to see my friends, or if I had a quick errand to run, it was easier to do that than to get my husband to take me and drag the children out of the house as well.
Yeah, so it's helped you out quite a lot, and obviously, understandably, you're a bit reluctant to get back on one, having had that nasty accident and the injuries as well. What do you think more broadly about the trial that's happening in parts of Essex and the fact it's probably going to go on for a few more months yet? What do you think about them in general?
I think if there was more regulations on parking them and more like regulating them in general, then it's a great idea for reducing, like Phil said, carbon footprint and things like that, but it's when they're left in the middle of pavement or people are riding them on the pavement sometimes they can be great, sometimes they can be a massive nuisance.
Yeah, but we've spoken about this in the context of cars as well, Abby Louise. You can apply that to people behind the wheel of cars, can't you? They've been with us for many, many years. You get some people who are really sensible and responsible, and others who are less so. I mean, how would you reduce some of those issues you mentioned? What do you think? More regulation? That's the main way. What about training and stuff? If we're going to have more of these on the roads, do you think there needs to be a bit more in the way of training and preparation for riding them?
Yeah, the thing is, it's so easy to access them, and there's no sort of, you have to do a training course before you can go on them, and I feel like that would be a good idea, because anyone can just go on them as long as they've got a provisional driving licence, and there's no, all you have to do is answer 3 questions, and if you get them wrong, you can do it again until you get them right. So there's no training or anything or guidance on how to do it or do it safely. You just answer 3 safety questions and off you go.
Yeah, so you need a little bit more in the way of that. What about private ones being legalised eventually? Because it seems like that may be a thing further down the track.
No, the rental scheme, at least they're mapped so they can only go so far. They're restricted in certain areas of Colchester, which is a great idea, whereas the private ones, you can adjust the speed on them so they can go a lot faster than they probably should. And I find I've had more problems with private e-scooters than I have the rental ones. my daughter was actually knocked over by someone on a private e-scooter because they were riding on the pavement and not looking where they were going, paying attention. And with the rental ones, at least you have to be of a certain age to use it. You need a provisional driving licence to use it. Whereas private ones, they're letting school kids on them.
Yeah, and you shouldn't be on public highways at all on them because it's not allowed at this point in time. It may well change in the future, but at the moment you can own it, but you've got to go on private land with it, haven't you? How's your daughter then? What happened?
So we were walking home from school and this e-scooter came out of a little alleyway from nowhere straight into her. She wasn't injured. She had a bit of a bump on the head from the handlebar, but it was more, she was very shaken up by it, very wary of e-scooters after that.
Yeah, I don't blame her, to be honest. I know with my children, when they're going out of the house and sort of stepping onto the pavement, I was like, make sure you just check you can see what's what, because they do appear out of nowhere. You can't hear them, can you?
No, and the thing is, we drum into our children, like, look left and right when you're crossing the road, and now we're having to be like, oh, you have to look left and right on the pavement as well now.
Yeah, well, Abby, thank you for coming on the show and telling us about your experience and your daughter's experience, and I'm glad you're both doing all right. But Abby's daughter, Abby Louise's daughter, injured by a private scooter, which shouldn't be out and about anyway. But Abby Louise, regular user of the rental scooters, and was a fan because she doesn't drive until she had a bad experience and had an accident and hurt herself. What's your thoughts on it then? Likely this trial of e-scooters in certain parts of Essex are going to continue for a few more months. Have you used one? And how do you find them in terms of what you're seeing around the county? Do you think things have got better? Because I remember we did phone-ins when the trial first started quite a while ago. A lot of people were saying, I don't like it. They come up quickly. You can't see them. People are riding them two on the scooters, which they shouldn't be. They're chucking them on the floor and not parking them up properly. They're on the pavements when they shouldn't be. It was a bit of a nightmare. I live in Colchester where it's being trialled, and I have to say, from my own anecdotal evidence, what I've seen around Colchester, I think it's got better in terms of how scooters and where scooters are being ridden, how they're being left. Do you agree with that? You might have something different to say. 0800 111 40 41, our number.
If you change your mind.